Come and have a seat on the table to chat. We've got too many cheap seats here. No, we want you to come and sit on the main table. Tell us your name.
Sabir.
Sabir. And come and get involved in this. Yes, you can. I'll give you a round of applause. Tell us your name.
My name is Amir Ali.
Amir. And so we've got Sadiq, we've got Amir, we didn't get your name. Sabir, we didn't get your name. Just Sadiq. And come on.
Is it okay though if we cut out the conversation?
Yeah, just run it. Right now, I need people around the table to make it look more popular. With you two here, it's going to look a lot more popular. So we have got Sadiq, we've got Amir, we've got Sabir, we've got Justine, I'm Mikey, we've got
Vanessa
and
Mariam.
Mariam, welcome. I'm going to. We're live streaming now as well. We're waiting for people to jump in. And my co-host, by the way, there. Got another face over here. Tell us your name.
Jannah Hussein.
Can I call you Jannah? Is that okay? Okay, so we've got Sadiq, we've got Vanessa, we've got Mariam, we've got Amir, we've got Sabir, we've got Justine and Mikey. The whole point of Talkaoke is it's up to you to come and get involved in this. Yes. 2 minutes. We need you. Because right now we don't have a subject. The whole point of Talkaoke is up to you to decide what you want to talk about. We need your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. What are we going to talk about here? We are here. We've set up the table. We're live online, although we've got no people online yet. It's blurry because it's a huge screen with a very poor resolution, I think. Come and join in this conversation. Yes, that's you. Give us 2 minutes. Maybe tell us, maybe that could be a starting point.
Who's boxing?
Who's boxing? Why are you boxing?
I've got to be there at, like now it's starting.
1 minute, two.
When
you come out, okay, well, you're committed now.
She used to.
Yes. Okay, but we still don't have a subject. We've got people. We've got the vibe, we've got the chips, we've got the drinks. If anyone wants a soft drink, there's some over there, or we're nearly out of them. All we need is a subject. Has anyone got anything they want to tick off with? Janet?
Should tweens or teens be able to work?
Okay. Can you give us a bit of context here?
For example, maybe children could get part-time jobs if they want to, or maybe during holidays they can get a job.
Would you like to get a job? How old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay. And you don't look 13? Oh, we've been through this already, but should Jannah be allowed to work? To work in the summer holidays, earn a bit of cash? That is the... earn a bit of cash? Should Jannah be allowed to earn a bit of cash? What do people think? Has anyone else here got a job to start off with? You've got a job? You're the only one with a job? So you're, in a way, you're getting the drinks in. But what about, I mean, how old were you when you got your first job?
I was 16, yeah.
16?
Yeah.
Do you think that's too early? Is that too young?
I think 16 is alright, but as long as it doesn't impact your studies. So even at 13, maybe you could get a job for like maybe a couple of hours a week.
I mean, I think what Jannah, you're saying, a job in the summer holidays, aren't you?
Yeah, something like in the holidays, or even the weekends.
Should 13-year-olds be allowed to work? 13?
I used to just have a job.
Come on, 2 minutes, come on, 2 minutes. Okay, there's a baby pregnancy excuse going on there. Yep.
Why would a 13-year-old need to work anyway? Like,
what do you mean, why would a 13-year-old?
Yeah, why? What do you need money for? Like, if you're a child, right, then your parents surely can get you everything, and just like you can. Why do you need a job? What do you need?
Okay. Why do you need money?
There's lots of reasons why a child might want to work. For example, they can be more independent, it improves their social skills, and really, for example, if someone has a job as, I don't know, maybe helping in the kitchen, it will help them in their future, maybe if they want to be a chef when they're older.
So there's a learning element as well to having a job, okay? Is that just wafting away a fly, or have you got a point there?
I mean, yeah, it was, but now that I'm in the mind, I feel like nowadays, like maybe parents child everything, you know, like some extras, like they can give them the basics, which is amazing. But maybe now where lots of comparisons going on, especially in schools, like let's say at that age, maybe they want to buy something that the parents can't afford, and they want to get it themselves, so they're not maybe bullied. I don't know, like there's lots of aspects. So yeah, it's not just about food and like shelter.
Is that the way though to solve? Is that the way, Vanessa, to solve bullying by giving children more money to buy more things? What do people think on the far seat over there? Should just have a show of hands. Should young people work or not work?
That's what I was asking about. If they should be.
No camera, please.
Oh, okay.
Should just have a show of hands. Should young people work? Should 13-year-olds be allowed to have jobs? Just give us a yes or a no.
What do you think, Claudia?
Yes, it's a yes. Okay, so there's definitely yes on that side. What do you think? No?
Well, if they need to financially, you need to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on what the job is. Not like being a cleaner or something, because that can come under like child labour.
Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with? I mean, you're saying children shouldn't be allowed to do cleaning. Should young people be allowed to work? That's what we're talking about. 13-year-olds. We've got Jana here. 13. No. Why? Yeah, it's just your feeling, gut feeling. Yeah.
I wish I could tell my mum that making me clean the house was a child labour thing. She wouldn't listen. I've got to she wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm just thinking about it. Maybe times have changed. I mean, in fact, I'm pretty sure times have changed. But, there were, you know, people. When I was growing up, in Parliament, people just didn't have jobs. But things were just like much cheaper then. Obviously, there were some kids who came from less fortunate households, so maybe they didn't have stuff. You know, maybe they just didn't have money for stock.
But is it just about money? Because I think there's a certain. I think Jana's saying it's not about the money. It's about the learning and the independence. Yeah. Yeah.
You're a child. This is the time to be out and have fun.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be focused on money. For the rest of your life, you focus on money. This is the time. Once this time is gone, it's just.
So you're saying no. You're saying.
No, just have fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying no, okay, because now's the time to have fun. But how do you have fun as a child, especially with no money?
No, they get access for drugs.
Yeah, hang on there, let's listen to
They get access for drugs, so easy to buy drugs.
Right, okay.
My opinion, no.
Yeah, grab the mic, because I can't hear you completely there.
Yeah, and my opinion, until they get last age.
Yeah. So you think that money could go onto drugs and stuff like that? All right. Okay. So is it bad to give children disposable incomes? Are they going to spend it on drugs?
For children.
Okay.
Maybe they understand the value of money first, then I think they should go out to work and understand. If they go out to work, that would allow them to understand the value of money because they've earned the money, so they won't spend it loosely, or they will just spend it on like things that they actually need.
What is the value of money?
So maybe not like splurging unnecessarily. Just like just knowing the value of the amount.
Okay. All right. So I mean, people need to know the value of money. They need to know. There's a question about do we trust young people not to spend money on drugs? Janet, what do you say?
I think that definitely. That's why I said maybe when they're around 13 they should be able to have some kind of small job. And back to what you were saying as well about children should be able to live their young lives, because when they're older they're going to have to worry about money. But I think it's depending on what job it is, and maybe they could have the job with their friends or on the weekends as well. Maybe that job could be fun for them. And also, it's based on the child's maturity, and maybe the parents could look over their money and just make sure that they're not spending too much. Then I don't really see a problem.
Okay, so there's a few good answers to that question. Like, first of all, jobs could be fun. It could be part of your childhood fun doing a job. Jobs can be fun. Has anyone here ever had a fun job?
Just want to say something.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us your name. Pete.
I had a Saturday job since when I was in year 10.
You do that?
Yes.
I was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
I had a substitute
never
job.
had experience for that.
And what do you regret having that job? What was the job?
Say something. It's important.
Yeah.
You never know.
But we don't.
What did you do?
Like we just keep it.
Yeah, I'm scared to be honest. I love to talk.
Yeah. Well, like passing his money. And you're still working
Sit around
together.
the table for
Okay, so that's kind of almost shaped your life in a way. Yeah, you've come full circle. Okay, so in your opinion, having a job's actually a good, productive thing to do for a young person.
As long as it's not exploitative.
Yeah.
It's
You was doing it this way for some time.
Yeah.
I know her.
Oh yeah, I
has a hobby
really
with
do.
it.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
To do something.
Very nice school, I know. Very nice school.
Did you have a hobby at the age of
Yeah,
15?
I was into cycling.
Okay,
I
so
used to want to buy cars to take bike. My parents couldn't buy me them, so I got
okay, all makes sense. So you're into cycling. You could afford money for bicycles. We're talking here. Essential question: should young people be allowed to work? That's the question out there. Come and join in on this conversation. What do you think? What do you think?
I'm interested in this thing that you said about when you're a child, just be a child. That's what my dad always used to say. Like, he always used to say to me, like, remember this time now. You're only a child once. It will never come back. So my question is, when did the childhood end for those who think their childhood had ended?
This month we changed it.
What's
So
the end of
first
that
birthday, but
This
normally
is
the last
more like the
birthday.
adults as well, in a way, because I guess the younger people.
Here is one.
You got a view on this? We're talking about should
Normally
young
the
people be
last
allowed to
birthday of
work?
the month, but because we missed
And should they just be allowed to enjoy their childhood? Is the child?
August.
Grab the mic. Oh, we need to-
Yes, I should enjoy their childhood, but they should work.
Yeah. So you think such a good thing for young kids? Okay. So it can, the two things can happen hand in hand, but people are saying the childhood is the best days of your life. So, do the adults agree with that? Simon, you got a view on that?
I'd say my childhood's never ended, just an adult one.
Okay, so you're now like a kid with actual cash.
I mean, I still buy Lego. So.
Yeah, okay. And now we're finding out what too creative means. Okay, so in a way you don't really ever completely grow up, you just get more disposable cash.
Like I say,
What do you think?
Yeah.
Children have to work.
I think it teaches.
How would they get money, right?
I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about drugs when I was 15.
Okay.
I only learned
So
it once I was.
do other people feel like that? Do they just feel like big kids now? Do you feel like a kid? Yeah.
So say one thing is today we had a barbecue on the island.
Yeah.
And I think that's where John is coming from because she helped me out from the start to the end.
Yeah.
Like preparing the burgers, making the burgers.
Yeah.
So I think she got some skills
Yeah,
that
you've
she
got
really
some
can utilize.
burger cooking skills.
We made like 100 burgers genuinely between us, yeah. So it was she doesn't know, so I think she can, so she can put that used to somewhere else, make some money from it.
Okay, so I mean, what about? I mean, could you set up a little bit? I mean, we've only got the one fast food outlet here. Could we set up another stall for you, Jana? Maybe you could just start selling burgers here on the street. Could we do that?
Yeah, I think I probably would this summer. I definitely would. Yeah.
Okay.
I never really thought about cooking as a real job for me. I've always wanted to be like a barrister or a solicitor when I grew up because I'm good at debating. Well,
Yeah. So you want to be a barrister rather than a barista? Yeah.
maybe, you never know. So that's what I'm just saying. When I started cooking, it was, at first I just said as a job, this is like a night shift, like a shift for a job, like McDonald's or something. And then I started to really enjoy it. And then I found that I was doing this like really quickly, just making the burgers.
Okay, so you're really getting into it. I mean, let's hear from some other people. There's a few questions hanging here. Yeah.
constraints, right?
Don't do that, yeah.
At this age.
Really?
Because children.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know the law. I don't know. Are young people legally allowed to work? Are they? What are the actions? Does anyone know the law? Okay, so you've got to be clear that you're doing it of your own volition and its hours are limited. But you can start off doing it. We don't know the exact rule, maybe I can look it up on the computer. Or you can look it up. Thank you, Sabir. Sabir's going to be our fact finder. We can find out. If you were making the law, what would be a good, what would a good number of hours be for, I don't know, maybe a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old?
Because you've been a marker, so it's like calculator. You're in charge of the class.
Yeah, and you think that? Do you think that's a good age?
Good age, you develop understanding of, they have the understanding of it could be to negative aspect.
Okay. What do you think? Are you prepared to wait till you're 16?
Personally, I think that a lot of kids who become drug dealers and such actually probably just want money. That's why maybe starting from 13 or 14, kids are led to these dangerous jobs because they want money.
Okay.
And
so
maybe
in a way, actually giving young people jobs will stop them from getting into drugs.
A job that actually will teach them, you know, that they don't have to do like some kind of dangerous job like drug dealing or, you know, some young girls could probably be prostitutes for money. You never know. So that's why I'm just saying, like, maybe having a job at a younger age where they understand the value of money, they will be able to, you know, have a job that will speak for them.
That's a strong point there. So is actually giving young people jobs actually dissuading them away from the world of crime and the underworld, let's say, and into the more legitimate business world? There's a round of applause being called for that one from Marion.
I think if it's about putting your, it's not about money in the sense that it's putting your time somewhere. Especially for kids, like going out in the summer, if there's like clubs to join that are cheap, like taekwondo, combat, football clubs, whatever it is, and investing their time in that instead of kind of just going to try and kill the time by working for hours and going home or sleeping the rest of the day off, and that kind of exhaustion. So maybe having this clubs for cheaper or kind of youth centres that kind of facilitate for these kids to spend their time there instead.
So clubs could be better than working. Okay, Mara?
So if they have a part-time job at such a young age, that will divert their attention from education because they're already getting the money, so that means they will not really want to go into education.
But Joanna is saying that she could potentially learn a lot from working.
Yeah, but once you see money coming into your pocket, it should be like, okay, cool, I've saved enough for a house, I'm everything, what's the point of, you know, it just can put you off of education.
Okay, does it put you off of education? What do you think? Come forward, I feel like I want to get you involved.
Podcast, Talkaoke. So simple, but there's so much that's
it's simple but complicated.
You make it look simple.
That's what we hope.
But I started working when I was 16.
I
did fall into that trap of just trying to work with great discipline. So I will say, just enjoy your childhood. If you can't get what you want now, it's fine. Later on in life, you can just be grateful.
I think young people may be a little bit impatient because they're like, they see all the things that are out there, but they're excluded from it.
It's natural as a kid to be impatient. That's how it is. Just want because you're trying to observe everything as a child. It's natural. You can't blame kids for it. It's just finding that boundary and spoiling them to basically but don't fall into that trap because you'll realise that as you start working
So actually starting work is actually the end of childhood. So you're nodding as well, Pete, even though you had a job. Do you sort of feel that it was the end of childhood as well?
Yeah, I think when you finally finish school, you realise how good school is. You got stuff like that. As an adult, you don't get a 6 week, you don't get half terms.
Okay, so it is kind of the end of childhood. So maybe that's why we're trying to protect Laura.
That's HDMI.
I think it depends on the kind of job that you do.
Yeah.
Because I would have summer jobs like painting a fence, which would be like 2 weeks for a week job. Just to kind of get extra money because, for example, I knew I was going on holiday with my parents, or not even parents, to like a summer camp, but I know they would give me, I don't know, £20 for the whole trip, so I would want to work this week of painting a fence just to save up to have more while I go on a holiday, and it didn't feel like I ended my childhood because it wasn't a long-term commitment. So I guess it depends on the form of work. But then what's I think that in terms of having a long-term job when maybe you're not a kid but you're a young adult like 19, 20 and you have your first serious, to some extent, job, I don't think I was aware of the value of a pound or whatever currency of the money. And I would just spend it so quickly, and when I go back to those spots now, I'm realizing that I wasted so much money because I didn't know there was a lot, or I could actually just save it for now. So it's a big lesson.
I mean, we did a Talkaoke, I think a couple of sessions ago, when we did what did you spend your first paycheck on? And most people wasted their first paycheck.
Spent on drinks.
Mostly on drink, But anyway, so there's a few different ways we can go with this conversation. First of all, am I a co-host here on this Zoom? Because if I'm not, I won't see people trying to get in.
Oh, okay.
That's one question. The other question is where we want to go with this conversation. Do we want to talk about childhood and what childhood means and when childhood ends? I mean, for you, it's not really ended even now.
No, it's fine. I'm just tuning in.
Oh, there we go. We have got people. We've got somebody online here. We've got Patrick. At the moment, we're talking about should young people be allowed to work, and is it the end of childhood when you start working? What does childhood actually mean? We've had a few experiences of people's summer jobs. Does giving young people money dissuade them from getting into crime, or does it encourage them to go and experiment with drugs? These are some of the questions on the table. So welcome to the Talkaoke. We're here live on Aberfeldy Street. Laura, you've got a point?
Yeah, because this idea that the childhood ends with starting a proper job. What about as an adult taking care of your inner child, which is apparently a kind of a big practice to do in the mental health community, because we still have this child inside, but because we kind of think we are adults, so we completely forget about this.
Do you take care of your inner child?
I'm not sure if I do enough, because it's actually really difficult, because it's about losing this kind of
what, like the sort of stress or the sort of the responsibility?
You kind of need to focus on being more carefree and not think as much. It's more about experiencing things as a kid rather than thinking logically.
Okay, so it's more like feeling.
And then you're worried about other people judging you if you run around with your hands above your head as you would as a kid, or gathering flowers in the field.
Now, what do you think? Your opinion?
What do you think? What my opinion of this?
Let me see now.
Come and join in, and we'll give you a round of applause. I want to know what you think about this.
I had experience like this, but I have confidence so much. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah,
I think young people should be allowed to work. Because I think it does give them all these things, and it's almost like excluding young people from working. It's almost like a sort of like discrimination against them because they're not. We're saying you can't be part of the money system. You can't be part of the work system just because you're too young. On the bit about the inner child, yes, I think sometimes we do need to let our inner child loose. But you know, it's up to you really where you want the conversation to go. I don't know if you agree, disagree.
Yeah, it's been for me. I only do my own thing.
You know?
No. I only do that because
Yeah.
they handle it with the wrong leader.
Yeah.
It's too much for me.
Yeah.
Especially when you live in London, you don't know what's going on with the people.
Okay.
Really?
Okay. And you've got kids as well.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
Yeah, 11, 10.
Okay, so not quite at that age, but you still wouldn't let them work until what age? Okay, you wouldn't let them work until 17, 18. So this is what we're talking about. Any views on this? Have you let your inner child loose? This is one of the questions that's out there. It's up to you where you want to take this. There's a few questions on the table. So,
I'd say, for me, once I have kids, they're going to have to work until some
yeah,
life lessons, skills,
yeah,
people don't realize how tough it is because they're working at a young age.
right,
So
yeah,
those people skills, those life lessons,
yeah,
translate throughout the whole life. And I think instead of going into it saying, I want money, this skills aspect they don't realise afterwards. Like I worked in retail sales, but
Where did you work?
Boots.
Boots. And what did that tell you about life?
Don't go to retail. But you pick up skills, and now whenever I go retail, you can just walk from street with not much respect, and I think that's important.
Okay, so that's a really crucial experience you've had in life. And come to you in the second loud, but you sell a lot. So I want to bring other people into this.
One of the things that we should, one of the issues that we talk about a lot in this world is child labour, right?
Yeah.
In the third world, children they get employed at a very young age and they exploit. But now here we're talking about they should be allowed to work at 13. Just sounds kind of weird. We're trying to stop it in another part of the world. Here we're trying to let them work.
Okay, so you think that's a bit ironic. I just want to also offer to you, Patrick, if you want to say something, you're the only person there online, so if you want to come in, just shout, really, or just say something. If you've got any views on
I'm just tuning in and listening, and then I can only stay for a few minutes, so but it's great. It's great.
Have you got kids?
Yeah, I do. They're in their 20s now.
Did you let them work when they were? What age do you think young people should be allowed to work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, all of my kids worked sort of like part-time from about 40.
Right.
You know, paper rounds. Retail, cafes, bars, restaurants, and they still do. And they like their money and they don't ask me for any, so I'm happy with that.
Okay, so there are some advantages there. Thank you for that, Patrick. So, where do we want to go? Do we want to talk about the inner child? Is your inner child free? That's one of the questions on the table. Do you give time and space for your inner child? Do we want to go down that? It's up to you. My job is simply just to,
My older brother told me that adults are basically just like old children with more experience.
Right.
Because you guys also make mistakes and still learn a lot even to this day. So you guys are just practically like old children with more experience, and that's why we should show adults respect, because you guys know a lot more than us, especially from 50 and above. Those are like people who are like 50 and above have been living in like the old generation, like their world was a lot more different from ours. Like maybe 1990s were different, but not as much as the 1960s, if you know what I mean. So you can learn a lot from your elders from those times.
Okay, so older people are just children with more experience. This is one of the things we're talking about. You're saying we should need to give older people respect too. Younger people get the respect if we're all the same in a way as well. That's another. What do you think? At what age should young people be allowed to work? What would you say? 16? Because Jana's saying 30. What's your name?
My name is Isra.
Yeah.
And I'm really bad. Prioritize education.
Yeah.
Like being
So you think that's not the time to work? Yeah. Can you not enjoy your life working and making money and enjoying your life at the same time?
Maybe like volunteering.
Yeah. I guess you could do volunteering as well. Okay. Don't get involved in this. This is a crucial conversation. In a way, we need the input of the younger generation as well, because it's what we're talking about here. Although we also need the input of the elder generation, because and this goes out to you as well, Patrick, online, do you feel like you are still a child but with more experience? What do people think? Do you feel like you're still do you feel like you're still a child with
I feel like I'm a child.
yeah. Well, there's a child element there, with just with more experience.
100%, yeah. And especially when I'm working at the moment.
Yeah.
These are people young as well, so
Yeah, okay, so actually young people keep
out of it.
Yeah, okay. Alright, we've got some more new faces. Come a bit closer as well, because let's spin around a little bit, so maybe it's time to do another round of names. I'm going to start over here. Tell us your name, and yeah. Latif. Yeah.
My name's Al.
Al, come to the front seat here.
Janot.
Abdi. Okay, so these are some of the things we're talking about. I want to stress again, it's up to you where you want to take this conversation, what you actually want to talk about. Do you want to talk about what it is to be a child, or that childlike spirit? Do you want to talk about that sense of like having that economic power, that power to earn money? Do you want to talk about this sense of learning or volunteering? I think is what you said as well, which is like if young people want to find out about working, maybe they should volunteer. You're the first person to mention volunteering. Is that the way to actually, to get the best of both worlds? Yeah.
I started work when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
I've been working since I started part-time.
Yeah.
If I could go back, I would have chosen to work.
Really? So you didn't do
now I look
mistakes?
back, I used to love sports. I used to play cricket at the time. I was investing more time playing cricket.
Really?
See where it goes.
So what were you doing? What job were you doing at 14?
I was working at money transfer.
Okay, you're working in the money transfer shop. Okay, so, but actually you now wish you spent more time playing cricket. Okay, so there you go. So that's one. Does anyone else regret working as a child? Or regret that's the Saturday job? I feel like most people felt it was a useful thing. Anyone else have you had what experience of working as a kid?
I only regret not working when I wish to be working.
Really? Okay, yeah.
That's my regret.
Okay, so it's more about wishing you worked more. Okay. Yep, Laura? Grab them off.
I have a question. What do you guys think about jobs that should be, what's the word? Everyone should work in those jobs for a little bit.
Yeah, because Saad was saying that everyone should work in retail at some point.
And I'd say the same in hospitality.
Everyone should work in hospitality.
Yeah, at least for a couple of
What
months.
job? Like what kind of jobs?
Just front of the house a little bit,
Yeah.
shifts in the kitchen, washing the dishes, to gain the respect for people who could do it for us.
Even be part of the school's program to put people in retail and hospitality jobs. Well, I feel like we've got a final point from Justine.
No, I'm watching.
Okay. So maybe it should be part of the curriculum that you go and work in retail and you go and work in hospitality. Is there any other jobs that absolutely everyone should have experience of?
In secondary school, they do let you go into work experience like during the summer holidays.
Yeah. You think that's a good thing?
So you already wouldn't take space every summer. If you want to do it, they'll put you in the school work.
Yeah. I mean, if there was an essential job that you had to do just to learn, what would you say it would be? Would you say it's retail as well?
Yeah, somewhere where you connect with people.
Yeah.
Develop people skills.
Okay, so you actually in jobs you develop people skills. Any thoughts on this side? Have you got a job?
I volunteer at
Grab the mic, come and say, grab the mic. Yeah.
volunteer at my mosque.
Yeah. What do you do?
I have clinical classes.
Yeah.
I do some admin work.
Okay. Would you like to get paid for that?
I just started
Yeah. Okay. How many times have you done it so far?
once.
Just once. Okay. So early days for you. What made you volunteer?
I've been going there for years. Like I practically go there.
Yeah.
It's like all like treat like the little kids. You know?
Right. So is it part of it just showing them that you can actually do some of the adult stuff as well? Okay. Anyone else volunteer? Do any volunteer? What about you? No? Would you like to? No. Why not?
Yeah, I do this.
Yeah. Okay, this is how. What is this? Tell us what you're doing here.
I don't really do much.
Yeah. You just hang with a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite hard work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about volunteering. We're talking about jobs. You got a point there?
I think there should be more jobs here that benefit the community. So more community-based jobs.
Yeah.
That's what I think there should be.
Go give us an example.
Like, I don't know, could be anything from like youth work to, like cleaning, like, tackling ASB and stuff. You know, there should be more jobs available regarding that.
So
And in that way, we can have more participation from people.
Yeah.
And then that way it will be more effective in the community.
Okay, so actually if you actually started enrolling people in some of these jobs, they would actually get involved in the community more. Go, grab the mic. Tell us your name.
Hi everyone, my name is Shaikul Islam. I'm a deputy manager in a private nursery. We are struggling for staff.
Oh really?
And obviously it goes out, a voice is going out. It's a setting called Bananas.
Yeah.
And it's a charity organisation where we look after children.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of the comments that say struggling for jobs. There's jobs out there, but it depends what you're looking for.
Can anyone do this? They need training?
Of course they need training. We do take voluntaries as well. We've got bank position where we're supporting young people as well as any age.
And what are the sort of jobs that you're looking for that you're actually struggling to find people?
In the industry itself, we're looking for, it's a childcare provide setting. So that's where it is. It comes from the childcare setting. That's what we're looking for. So why not? I mean, it's just up the road. Bananas, Bowl Nursery. There's jobs out there.
So maybe Google that.
Google if you're all interested.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, thanks for that. What's your name again?
Shaikul.
So Shaikul's actually just like got some jobs out there that need some positions need to be filled. Yeah. What's that? Anyone looking for a job? Yeah. People are people looking for a job? Does anyone want to do this job? If you were 16, you would do it. Jana would do it. Would anyone else want to do this job? I mean, no commitments, obviously. This is like, I'm not the recruitment agency. Do you want to do the job?
No, but you know what it is, right? I think
it's
just when people say the job involves working with children, because children are so unpredictable and they can get themselves caught in some kind of like dangerous situations. I wouldn't be comfortable with this kind of level of responsibility.
Okay, so it's too much responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would. Okay, anyone else want to do this job? You'll do it? Okay. You're kind of in a way, sort of, obviously you're working with like teenagers, but would you do it?
I got grew up with like a big family, kids. It's like even now, I've got grandkids in the family. It's like, I'm the youngest of 6 siblings. I do enjoy working with kids, and they actually keep you fresh in your mind, and they keep you challenged and on edge.
Okay, so it's all about. So that unpredictability can be a positive side. What's that?
They have too much energy. They keep going on. I have a niece and nephew. I want to love, but after a certain time, they do drain you out.
Okay, so they suck up too much energy. Okay. Talking about jobs, does anyone want to do this job of passing the microphone around? It's pretty easy. Anyone want to have a go at this?
I just wanted to say that I think there should be a lot less stigma about low paid or low skilled jobs.
Like you said, you worked at Boots and like maybe had like a bad reaction to that. I think like whatever like everybody does, like it's worthwhile. Like it should be respected. Like,
do we not respect these jobs if they're not well paid?
If someone's a cleaner or like whatever, people don't respect them. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, someone has to do that job. Like they deserve respect.
Okay, that's a good point. What do other people think? Are we respecting those lower paid jobs enough, Justine?
I'm going to come in on that point because I do like that point, and I think that often we conflate or we confuse low pay with low skill. And actually that's not the same. You know, that just because their job is low paid, even like a cleaner, for example, that doesn't mean it's unskilled, right?
Okay, I mean, have you had any experience doing these kind of jobs?
Well, I did have a Saturday job. I'm struggling to remember how old I was. I worked in Revell Shoe Shop in East Ham actually, and my main. God, it was so boring. My mate, and whatever I learned about people's skills, I can't remember them. And all I want now is the time back. I just want to cash in on the time.
So in a way,
I needed the money. I felt I needed the money.
You're a bit like some people regret doing these jobs, and other people kind of feel like it was good experience. It's interesting, and it's about the time, isn't it? For you, it's about the time you wanted to play cricket.
I mean, if I could count all those Saturdays that happened back, I'd pay for them.
What would you be doing with those Saturdays?
I don't know. Reinvesting in my inner child.
Okay. All right. So you're more on the side of enjoy yourself while you're young. Let's bring in some other people on this. We've got a new face over here. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Lucky Nessa. I work for Spixer Grove.
Have you got any views on this? Any of the things? I don't know if you've been listening in.
I think it's interesting. I think for me, what we try to coach young people is any kind of job, even if it's a small job, is life skills, and it's very important what you do. You've got your volunteers who's been working with us for the last few weeks, setting up barbecues, doing leafletting,
But this is how this whole conversation started. Is because Jana got a flavour, they got the taste of what it's like to be working. It tastes good. It actually tastes good.
And I think that's how I started as getting into youth development work. So if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today with those experiences. Which is really understanding what's community. Whatever job you do is people and public skills. And these all skills are important for life. So.
And what about this thing about status and like the shame of doing the low paid job?
I think I can personally say this is a big thing in our culture. So if you are, example, who works as a cleaner, it's looked down. As a culture, people feel embarrassed to talk about it. And I think if you go to our country, that's a big thing. People don't like it. It is more accepted because people understand. Because if you're a cleaner, people still get the same value and respect.
Do you think actually this country is better than other countries?
I think so, because I have seen it in our country how it's looked down. Like they won't even go and get youngsters won't get a simple basic job because they think I shouldn't be doing this job because it's looked down at. Whereas in this country, there is still culturally parents are from back home actually embed that on their children, so they don't get those jobs, but they don't understand you need those jobs to skill up. You can't just be a manager and director.
Apart from how to actually get a cooker nice and sparkly, what other skills do you get from cleaning?
Well, you learn how to clean. But cleaning job is, I know a cleaner who became a nurse in London Hospital, right? And he worked there for a few years, but he was so impressed by the nurses and he had a passion. And one of the managers spoke to him and he said, I would really want to do this. And today he's a nurse. So it says a lot, isn't it? Sometimes you get into a job to build yourself up. Some people don't have GCSEs and A-levels, but the only way is just to get into that field and start somewhere and maybe build up. And someone will recognize. And we say that to the kids we work with, do placement, do someone will recognize your skill, potential, your talent. It's something that your passion. That's what you really want to do. And also being around those environments, you can make a decision, do I really want to do this? Because we all say, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then when you go to college, you're like, oh, that's not for me. But it's important to have an experience in that field to see how it works. And that's why we see it as it works for the young people, and we give those little taste sessions, or we can get them like a day in the hospital to have that experience with a nurse. They can make that decision. So it's really important about that.
Yep.
I mean, you were asking about what kind of skills you can learn from being a cleaner. I remember I was receiving, well I still do, but in my previous shared accommodation where I was living, we all decided that we don't like cleaning, we just don't have time to clean, so we said we're just going to hire a cleaner. But actually it wasn't as easy as it sounds, because like people would just like drop off the radar, they won't communicate, they'll say, oh I'm going to come on this day, and then, well no, it's this day, and then it's just like simple communication has never actually been simple. And I would just say that to any kind of job, that is just such a big skill.
Okay, so actually turning up at the right time, working out what you're going to do, all these things actually is in any job.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, so yes, that's kind of what I would say. But
certainly if you want to be a comedian, the timing is very important.
Timing is very
important.
And the sound effects. But I was recently reading this book. It's called what is it called? It's called Brave New World. And it's just funny because it's kind of a dystopian book, like looking into the future as to how civilization may develop. And it was like one fragment, as you were talking about jobs earlier, that I was just thinking about. But there are kids in that futuristic world who go and work, because in the future, according to this book, no one's going to get old, and those who get old, then they go to like a special dining place, and it's like, and young people, children, they go on school trips to see old people die, and if they see somebody die, just they get like an ice cream, just some kind of encouragement, just to show them. Some people are old, they're really no good, and well done for watching that. You're really resilient now. This is what this book is saying. So
that's quite dark, isn't it? Okay, so that's a dystopian future. Are we going into that dystopian future? What do people think about the future? Are we going to have jobs in the future? Come and get involved in this. Should young people be allowed to work? That's what we're talking about, essentially. Is that yay or nay? Yes. No, it's a no. Okay. But now we've sort of moved on to talk about the future world of employment. What's that going to be like? Is it going to be like Brave New World? Is it going to be where we respect everyone, as what Lucky was saying? Jana?
From what Lucky said as well, about cultural things, I think, as like a brown girl, like our culture, depending on the parents you have, they, for example, fathers or husbands, they can be like extra abusive, but maybe they were just taught that way, and maybe kids, for example, have been taught this behavior by their parents, and the generation will go on and go on. But now that because we live in a Western country, or even people who don't live in Western countries, people learn about psychology and learn that they, to break the cycle as well. And for example, in our culture, like abortion is looked down upon, for example, but even the US, it has been banned.
Well, there's a lot of big questions there. Essentially, it's about how do we break the cycle? How do we actually change within the culture that we're born into? How do we, do we want that to repeat, or do we want that to change? And how do we actually get change, be it with jobs or with other ethical issues? What do people think? Some really big questions there. What do people think about? How do we break the cycle? Any thoughts on that? Yep.
I would say it's not very easy, because if your family has always done things in a particular way, it's very, very hard to kind of introduce an idea that you want to do something differently. Like, in a way, that was part of the reason why I had to move away from home, because it comes to a point where your parents will always see you as a child, and you'll always know less than them, you'll be always less experienced, and you have to just move away and then start doing stuff, and until you get more confidence in your views, in how you are, and then you can come back and meet your parents more like an adult.
In your experience, how did you want to break the cycle with your parents, and why did you have to move away?
Yeah, that's right. for my family, yeah, I think my parents just had very kind of set ideas as to how they wanted me to, you know, they wanted me to have children, to get married and that kind of stuff. And it's just like that kind of lack of understanding of what I was interested in, because they weren't massively educated. When I was talking about stuff that I was learning about at school, it was just like a blank. So I just felt like I'd go to school, I'll go to my drama group, and I'll be like so inspired, and suddenly I'll come home and it's just like a blank wall from my parents. And I'm like, yeah, it was like that. And then it's like, oh no, clean up your room. Or, oh, there's dinner now. And I was just like, what? Like, why are you talking about like stupid things like this? There's a world out there, there's literature, there's this, that, and the other. So yeah, I think they just find out really annoying.
Alright, so parents can find children annoying. We're talking about breaking the cycle. How do you actually do stuff different to your parents? You've got a few there.
Actually, one of the things, obviously, we work with many young people and families, and one of the things we found is you have 3-4 generations who have been unemployed, right? And then you have the child doesn't know nothing but seeing no one worked. So how do you equip that? We've got single mums that we trained up, we've got single mums who are working now for us being a tutor, and they've changed that. So we do believe you help change one person, you change the whole family. So it takes time, because a lot of people feel left out. We all know there's been pandemic, so many things happen, mental health issues, but also the children are suffering. So I feel like there's not enough role models. A lot of the young people follow social media. A lot of them, we talked to them recently. I had 4 girls who told me, actually, I grew up with social media. That's my understanding. That's my learning. So it's not my parents. And there's a lot of gap communication, like I say. It doesn't matter what culture you're in, I think there's a generation gap as well. And also exactly. And how do you give those young people the opportunities? That's what we're about, opening doors for them, because you've got so many jobs in like Canary Wharf, and you know, it's right next to your doorstep, but other young people are getting experience. Are they getting those opportunities? How do we open those doors for them? Because it's about us really giving them the opportunities. I do believe that. We all are responsible for each other. We are responsible for the generation, because they're going to be the ones who are going to look after us when we're old, you know, society.
Okay, I mean, do we want to break the cycle too much then, if we're relying on those young people to look after us when we're old? Okay, so yeah, what do people think? And you mentioned social media. Does that change things? Does that make it easier in a way for young people to do things differently from their parents? You were looking intently there, there's also the question about, you know, can we get involved in this? Yes, that's you, yes. We're talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about young people, whether they're allowed to be themselves. Have you got a view about it? Give us a thought. What are you also thinking about it so far? No thoughts? Okay, so yeah, I mean, what do people think about this? Is there really access? We were talking about this earlier on. Is there access for young people to actually to get through the door of like Canary Wharf? We were talking about there, like you mentioned Canary Wharf. Is there actually an ability for young people to be themselves, I suppose, is a way to sum it all up in a way that, that encompasses this whole conversation really.
I feel like maybe the employers are not fully ready. They don't understand how to help young people, so maybe they're not kind of creating an environment that is easy to kind of step into. But I think also for young people, I would say confidence is just such a big key thing as well. So I think the more opportunities they can get involved in, I think the better, because then they will even help.
And we want a final thought from Justine. Yeah, that's okay. We can have a final half a thought.
And I will just say I love the denim jacket.
Okay, so I'm going to park that thought for a second. Let's get a final thought from Justine before you go.
What final thought can I give to you about work in the future? Work in the future, I don't think we have to work as hard. I don't see why we should share it out, work less.
Yeah,
that's my final thought.
Has that been your experience?
Get more involved, you know, and have more time for leisure, more time for pleasure. Let the leisure industries boom on everybody's spare time.
Okay, so less work and more more playtime.
We don't actually need to work as hard as we're working, right? This obsession with productivity is a falsity, it's a lie. My final thought.
Okay, alright, so we should spend more time having fun, basically.
Well, sharing it out a bit.
Sharing it out, okay, interesting. Okay. Thank you for that final thought. So, yep.
Do people know how to have fun? I'm just curious how people have fun.
Okay, how do you have fun?
I come to Talkaoke, that's my idea of fun.
Okay, well, hopefully you're having fun tonight.
I don't know, like meeting my friends is fun, but only sometimes, because sometimes I just don't want to see anyone.
I mean, do you agree with Justine about this thing that we should be working less?
Yes.
And we shouldn't be working as hard?
I think maybe we should work differently. I think for a long time, until I started working with People Speak, I think I thought that the work is separate from having fun and from having a life. And it can be like this, it could be 9 to 5, but I realise it's not for me. And it's just, but even like entertaining, there is an option like that. So I would say maybe work less if it's possible. If you hate your job, then definitely I would say.
Is it about working less, or is it about having more fun when you are working?
I think
have more of a fun job.
Yeah, I think about having fun whilst you're working, that's very important.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to money, right? Working, you just want to focus too much on money to find the right balance. Take care of yourself, take care of your inner child, and have fun in life. Once you make money, take care of your responsibility.
Okay, so you have
find the right balance.
Abdi, it's good. You're on the phone. Come back to us in a second. So we're talking about the driver. We always want to make more money. Sabir believes we can have it all. We can actually have fun, make money, and not spend too much time doing it.
I mean, he definitely has good points, but yeah, if you have a job where, because you're going to be spending a lot of your time there, right, probably 9 to 5 or whatever, you want to make sure that, I mean, it's not totally boring, but, you know, it's not very likely that you find a job which pays you a lot, at the same time you have a lot of fun. You just want to have a job that you're passionate about, but, you know, even if you don't have enough money, at least it's something that you can, like, live from, at least, you know. And I think a lot of people might not notice, but I personally noticed that a lot of people rely on their feelings rather than, you know, doing, like, for example, work. People will try and, like, you know, sleep in or whatever, or be a bit lazy and not want to go, but you know, they should just be able to do it. And I understand that, you know, working isn't fun, but you know, this world won't function if we all relied on our feelings. How do we all function? We all just need to just do what we have to do.
I mean, but do we all need to also wake up early in the morning to go to work? I mean, what Justine was kind of saying was that maybe we don't need to do that anymore. Maybe there's enough people or enough things out there to not have to wake up early. I don't know. What do people think? Are people, and there's another good point as well from you, Jana, are people too much based on their feelings and not enough, I suppose, on what would be the opposite, on the facts or the reality, I suppose? Yeah.
Well, it is,
yeah.
Every job has different timings, opening and closing, I'm trying to say. The main thing is like the way this tax system is, bills and whatnot, people are just working to live. Again, you have fun, you literally spend everything on that, what you made, and then you left with peanuts. And the way everything works, people are just working to live right, and nobody's progressing. After people save up, and they open their own business and whatnot, there's a lot of competition and everything.
So we're just working to survive.
A lot of people are literally working to survive. I think they know it deep down inside, like just going around in a circle. You're gonna say.
You're not really progressing at all.
I would say, do what you love to do in it. Do what you enjoy to do. That's the main thing. And then in that way, at least you're doing what you love to do, and you know you're enjoying your job and you're working. You can't get to do what you love to do all the time, but you get there at one point. Keep working towards it.
So go in that direction. What do you think? Can we get involved in this? Are you working to survive?
No, I'm doing alright to be fair. Not being good now, but I don't want to be. I didn't start like that, you know.
Yeah, you didn't start. So how did you get into that position?
You know what? I applied for a job at the job centre as a trainee engineer. And I didn't know anything about the job. And I pretty much blagged the interview. Yeah, because I'm quite a good talker.
Yeah.
And then I've just worked hard for about the last 8 years.
So you faked it till you made it, sort of thing?
Well, not faked it till I made it. I worked hard every day.
Yeah. Well, how did you do a trainee engineer if you didn't know anything about engineering?
Kept my mouth closed, kept my ears open, and worked every day, worked every hour God could give me. And now I'm working on the River Leaks project across the road, the tunnel under the river.
Oh yeah.
I'm earning a fairly decent wage.
Okay.
You know? And yeah, but it didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
I'd say 8 years now.
So you had to sort of like, before you got in that job, were you, would you
bouncing from job to job,
Yeah.
labourer on a building site, lifeguard, worked in a gym.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't leave school with any qualifications whatsoever. Nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't finish school. But like my dad and sister, I've got a teacher, so but yeah, I just worked hard.
Yeah, so in a way, it's finding the thing that you felt you could work hard at as well.
Very, me, myself, as a practical person, so I'm good with my hands. If you put me in an office and told me to sit down in front of the computer, I'd last about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
So it's about the right job for the right person.
100%, 100%. I mean, like I said, I found that right job for me, which you say, I love my job. I wake up in the morning on Monday and I don't think, I'm not going to go to work today. Yeah. I do understand that's hard. There isn't many of them jobs out there, and you don't get opportunity. There's a lot of people out of work that have qualifications and skills and experience. Young people are given them opportunities because it's easier to employ someone who's ready-made. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I can totally get what
And I see a lot of that on the site that I work with. There's people from all over the world, and it's very, very hard to get into that position there. Where I was I was just very lucky.
Yeah.
And I saw the opportunity to grab me both hands,
Okay, well, so much. What's your name, sorry?
Will.
So we've got Sabir, we've got Vanessa, we've got Saad, we've got Amir, we've got Margot, we've got Mariam, we've got Lucky, Disra.
I'm trained.
Disra, and we've got Al and Sadiq and Jana. And it's gone now.
Because he's training.
Training, yeah, but this is obviously the training of the mouth is just as important as the training of the. They say over there in the boxing. Stop the stabbing, stick to jabbing. We say stop the stabbing, stick to jabbering. So I think that's just as important as the jabbing as the jabbering. So yeah, it's not, anyway. At the moment we're talking about some really good points from Will about how you actually get into a job, and sometimes it's just almost like fortune comes in your way, doesn't it? In a way, it's about fortune.
But I think that kind of grabbing opportunities with both hands, I think that's an important one. I think when I was younger, even though I wanted to change something in my life, I was working in hospitality for probably too long. But I just couldn't, if somebody offered me an opportunity, I wouldn't know how to kind of approach it. I just didn't have that confidence. If situation, if I had the confidence I have now, back then, maybe things would have been different. But in a way, I can relate to what Will was saying. I don't wake up and be like, oh God, going to my job. Like, I really don't have that. And I have had that in jobs, for, like all of my other jobs. And I think it's just, that's when you know that like you're happy. But I wonder what defines happiness to people.
Okay, so there's another thing. What defines happiness? Is it waking up in a job where you want to go to work? You want to oh no, I've got to get to work. Is it something else? We could go on to that. What do people think? What defines happiness? Jana?
Well, back from what Al was saying, it's true that people actually do have to work to survive. If you've seen like the amount of prices that have gone up, like for example, food is like almost double the price, and rent for houses are almost, like you can't even buy them because it's so expensive. And even if the average wage or minimum wage is getting a little bit higher, like maybe now it's like £9 minimum wage, but that's not going to help if food is like double the price, and you can't, these houses are absolutely unaffordable, like life is becoming unaffordable, too expensive at this point.
Okay, so there's a few ways we can take this. We can take the point about life becoming unaffordable. There's a thing about what are the jobs you love, and because in a way it's putting us in two different directions. Doing what we love, unless you're Will that does what he loves and gets paid loads of money for it all the time. But for most people that's two different directions, isn't it? There's like the money and the passion putting us in two different ways. Maybe they're not, I don't know.
I mean, I sometimes think about the kind of energy prices and how it's all going to go, and I'm feeling really depressed. And I just wondered what kind of do people think about it? Like, how do you think we can? Because I think one thing about humankind is that we are able to overcome all sorts of different difficulties. But how do you think we're going to overcome it in the future? Or maybe that's just too kind of, we don't know until we're there fully. But I just wonder where do people kind of look for comfort and just kind of peace of mind really when times are unstable.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? So you're smiling.
Probably my pet hamsters.
Oh, where's my hamster sound effect?
Yeah, just come home and see them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I listen to you when I talk to them.
Right. Do they cost a lot of money to keep?
They are expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cleaning, they're time consuming.
Yeah.
They're noisy at night.
So you've got a pet hamster to help you cope?
2 hamsters.
2 hamsters, okay. What are the names? Okay. Pate and Toe, okay. All right, anyone else got any pets or any other, I mean, that's a good point for you. It's not all about either work or passion. It can be also about pets. Anyone else got any pets? You got any pets? 4 cats?
They're so friendly. The cane calls up. If it stood up, it's like the size of you.
Right, okay, so huge dog.
Yeah. It's like a scary dog.
Right.
Yeah. But it's so friendly.
Right, okay.
I love them.
Yeah.
My friend sent me an email today saying, because I knew that he wanted to get a dog for a long time, so he emailed some people and he wants to get a Portuguese Podengo. I don't know if people know what that dog is. I didn't know until I saw this email today. But anyway, so he emailed these people and they got back to him saying, yes, we've got a puppy for you. The thing is that obviously, because you want him as a pet, you don't want it to be competitive kind of, I don't know, going to Crofts or whatever, then we will sell it to you for cheaper. And I was just like, I was trying to get my head around it, like, so if you get it to be a pet, you can buy it for cheaper. But if you say that you're gonna like train it up to be like a Crufts worthy dog,
a show dog,
then that means they'll charge you more. Like, it's more expensive.
Okay, well, I mean that. I don't know if there's any dog experts around the top. We might have to Google that one. I don't know any dog experts. Can you explain that?
Being a pet,
Yeah. And we've got a new face at the table. Tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Lucy.
Lucy, we've got Jana, we've got Sadiq, we've got Al, and we've got Adisra, we've got Lucky, we've got Pete in the background there, we've got Laura and Margot and Amir, Saad, Vanessa and Mariam and Severe. Come forward, come and get, you're in the cheap seats here. We're mostly talking about life here. Any points about life? No, he's gone, he's off on the bike. Or maybe there's a point about life, I don't know. Yes, yeah, you're coming straight in there, Lucy.
Your body hurts more the more you live.
Your body hurts more?
The more of your life you experience, the more your body hurts.
Okay. Is there anything you can do about that?
I think that we should all stretch more. I don't stretch enough.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts.
All right. It's a little bit, this conversation is fraying into lots of different directions here, and I think we do need to make a collective decision about where we want to take it. Do we want to talk about Desra's hamsters, Pate and Toe? Do we want to talk about the meaning of happiness, which is what Margot wants to talk about? Do we want to talk about getting old and having to stretch more? We need to together make a decision on that. Where do we want to take this conversation? Do we want to talk about more about jobs and employment? And who's going to do my job? Because I've got old, and actually turning my head now is painful, turning around all the time, because there's so much spinning around. What's that?
I could swap with you if you wanted to, unless someone else is
Does anyone else want to have a go at
this?
this? And I'll put this out to literally anyone here.
This is being a fish. I think.
We've got an official fish costume actually.
We'll do it.
But
Maybe
it's not
we
good
can
for
get it.
it's not good for Talkaoke because
It's okay for
he's
just
got
like
no
assisting him.
peripheral vision.
You're short-sighted as well.
Yeah. Anyone want to have a go in the middle here?
Yeah.
Jana wants to have a go.
Where?
Yeah, that is
Come on!
I'll just explain. The main point about being in the middle though, the really difficult bit, which I'm going to now enjoy now I'm on the outside, you don't get to say your opinion, it's just about asking other people what they think. But the way to get in, you just sit on here, spin around, and then you're out, or in your case. You sit on the back there, spin around. Okay, well let's maybe just get everyone's name and get these people to come forward a little bit and help you out, because we've got some of these adults here that are sitting back, they're not really helping out. So maybe just get them to come forward, get their names, and let's try that. I'm just going to screw this in. Maybe stick this in your pocket. If you haven't got a pocket, just put it in that. And then I'm going to turn it up because my voice is quite loud. You want to say something to the sound check?
Hi.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so just get everyone's name to begin with.
What's your name?
Get them
Hi, I'm Laura.
What's your name?
Laura.
Mikey.
What were we talking about earlier?
So we started off actually with you, Janice, and your point that young people should be allowed to work. We talked quite a lot about whether it's a good idea or not for young people to work, and there was some plus sides that they learn skills and they get experience and they learn how to do things and get confidence, but also negative sides is that they burn out their childhood working. And then we started talking about young people, and we talked about jobs, and then we started talking about status of jobs, and then how are we going to work less? Are we going to work more? Are we working for passion, for money? Can you do both? And then we're kind of here with, we did a little side steps into this was hamsters, potato and toad, and the meaning of happiness. And now we're here. My final thoughts over here.
Yeah, go on.
Final thought. Like just be yourself. Pursue what you're looking for in life. It's all about yourself at the end of the day. You know the best version of yourself. What you do in life to bring the best out of you. Just express yourself honestly and freely whenever you can, and you get to wherever you want to get to.
Yeah, that's really true. And going back to what I said originally, I don't think 13-year-olds should work, but if you think that's right, then you should stick to it. Stick to your guns, and you have a good life to do it.
Okay, so my final thoughts would be that like everyone is rushing so badly, and I feel like it's important to realize that life is beautiful and you do actually have time, you know, however that may seem or be or whatever, you do have time. Everything is as it should be. You should work hard, don't just be like that, but also keep yourself promoted. And yeah, and then there are places out there that you already belong to and you have never been, you know, so it's fine. So yeah, have a nice day. What you're saying?
Thank you very much, you guys. Speak to you soon. You'll be in touch. Fantastic. So some pearls of wisdom from the older generation. Well, not older than me, but older than some other people here. Okay.
Does anyone have any opinions about their final thoughts?
Oh, I don't have opinions about the thoughts, but in terms of adults and teenagers and kids and who's allowed to work and who's not, how do we actually know when someone is an adult? Because we do have the age gap, obviously, but it doesn't work in a lot of cases. I don't know if it's on my opinion, but I feel like there are people who just never grow up and they just stay on the mental level of a teenager maybe, and then they do have jobs and very high positions. They get a lot of money, but then where is the justice?
You're right, there is actually two different ways you could define your age mentally and, you know, the legal age, 18. It's kind of boring to think about like that, but, you know.
Like, I wonder which traits is it okay to stay young as? Like mental, like thoughts on the world, but like the respect of others. Like there are things that I would admire in someone to still be quite young and not think in a typical way. There are other ways that people behave like a young person. I think it's very immature. So which are the things that we think are better and worse to be young in?
What do you guys think about, you know, maybe some good traits that people usually have as a young kid? For example, curiosity. Do you think that's a good trait to keep when you're older? And what do you think is a bad trait to keep when you're young as a kid and like to keep as a grown up?
But curiosity is actually really good, yeah. It's good to like explore. Come out your comfort zone.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think kids seem to adapt a lot better than a lot of adults. I can't remember what it was, but there's companies hiring people with some sort of like disability, and like they're hiring far less likely to be stuck in their way of thinking. They're a lot more adaptive at the way they like solve problems. So I think kids do that a lot better than adults. They don't think outside the box as well like an adult would be. Like this is the way something has to be done. Where a child would kind of think about things like
You have some good points there. You know, kids do have more creativity nowadays and good curiosity, but don't you think there's some bad points about the kids modern nowadays? For example, growing up too fast on social media. Like, maybe let's talk about the bad side of how kids are nowadays.
I just wanted to say there may be kids, I don't know about social media, I'm going to have a think about it there because now that you introduced the subject, but I wonder, I think kids are better at making mistakes and just like moving on. I think like when you break something, your parents are like, why did you break this? And then you're like, oh yeah, sorry, and then you just kind of, move on with your life. And I think as an adult, because maybe you suddenly realize, oh my god, there's so much at stake, there's this relating to this, if I come across like that person's going to, there's like more layers of like responsibilities, so like you just like worry about too many things as a child, just like, whatever, and I think that's something that adults can definitely, carry on into their be a good trait. Bad trait, I don't know, because kids just are less experienced than grown-ups, so maybe some of the things they do are not necessarily bad. Yeah, so maybe they're not fully aware of what they're doing, but equally teenagers are very aware and are very clever as well. Sorry.
Yeah, just some final thoughts. I was mainly observing because that's how I learn everything. Being involved earlier, I wasn't able to absorb everything. This is like I said, Mikey makes it simple, but it's like the behind the scenes, like everything behind that shows that simplicity. But to touch up on a few things, I'd say social media for kids, I'd say that's a completely different topic, but I think it's quite toxic right now. There are a lot of ways to combat it, but for now, I'd advise kids, like if I was to have kids right now, I wouldn't let them have social media until when they're starting their GCSEs. I'd keep them away. And if they're using it for their GCSEs, it's mainly for memes and to find GCSE results, that's it. Not right now.
Which memes?
Oh, any memes. Any funny memes. But in terms of work, just be a child. You get adult money, let your inner child have fun. Buy whatever it is, Lego, a new phone, puzzles, games, whatever. Just enjoy yourself. But yeah, it was a good experience. I appreciate you guys for having us here. just want to thank both of you for being absolutely incredible for us all today. Kicking into the communities, really speech. You guys do for the community, it was absolutely wonderful. And yeah, my last thoughts are, I think money's always going to come. Just do what you enjoy, chase what you enjoy, and I promise you that all this kind of thing will eventually come to you. And I think that's probably the best path you can take in life. Just take it easy, don't take things too seriously when you don't have to. Just have a laugh about it, honestly.
That was quite an emotional speech.
I was going to say on the note of children just letting it go, from my personal experience of being a child, is that I had guilt was a huge part of my emotional spectrum, and I would go to bed every night and my mum would have to sit at the end of the bed and I'd list out all the things I feel guilty about. Like I feel guilty that I might have left someone out when I didn't stand next to them in the queue, and I'd list off all these things, and I just had a repetitive guilt of stuff that I'd done that honestly caused many offence. So I would disagree. I would say that certain children are highly anxious and do care about things.
Do you think that you admitting things that you were guilty about is good for you? Because isn't that kind of like what priests do, when you admit your sins, right? So,
did the guilt have a purpose?
Admitting them to your parents.
I think I process my emotions through talking. So I was good, did it do anything? Possibly not. Maybe it just calmed me down, just as venting right now. But as an adult, I vent about things that calms me down. I think it's just that's a character trait. If I feel something, people around me need to.
I think it probably did good on you, because if the happy emoji was an emoji, like for real life, I think it'd be you. So, I've never seen anyone smile this much, so I'll just say,
oh, thank you. Remember, Jana, keep looking around all 360 degrees around the table. But yeah, I just wanted to say on the question of kids and adults, I think one of the things when you do Talkaoke with young people, they're much more absorbing of new ideas and reflecting on new ideas, whereas older people tend to be more kind of certain of what they think, so it's harder for them to absorb new ideas and change their opinions, whereas younger people, it can be very, very fast how the thinking changes. And I think that's obviously just because younger people's brains are so much more kind of, they're a bit like the equivalent of the old people hurting a lot. Their brains don't hurt and their bodies don't hurt either. But also, I think probably the thing that young people miss most is probably confidence. But obviously you can't generalise because every child is different.
How do you feel giving your opinion for the first time, not being in the middle? How do you feel?
It feels great. I love being on the outside. I have so many opinions I had before. I'm not going to go through it all. The conversation's moved on, but so many opinions. I love being on the outside and just, venting, as Lucy says.
What do you guys think about confidence in young people? Do you think that confidence probably, that we have bad confidence and self-esteem from somewhere, or do you think we can be taught good self-esteem and confidence from somewhere? What do you guys think?
I believe that kids, a lot of the kids have natural confidence, and adults actually kill the confidence of the children by not knowing how to support the development of the kid's character. Because we would often, I guess, kid is misbehaving, we would kind of shame them for the behavior rather than sitting down with them and explaining what's the correct way to do it, but without making them feel ashamed and by this confidence and their abilities, things like this. And maybe it's a very vague example, but I do believe that we are born with a lot of pure confidence that is just crushed by society.
So do you think that mostly people who have low confidence, most people with low confidence, do you think it usually stems from childhood, or do you think adults or teens who have like, you know, maybe good confidence growing up and it totally stopped to the adults? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, from my experience of the research we have done around, say, over 400 kids that we work with, a lot of the young people that we work with have traumatic backgrounds, and a lot of it is because of domestic violence, or it's because of a parent has, you know, had a bad experience, so they put it on the young person, and failure, they don't really move on forward. A lot of the reasons you see, because of those reasons, young people's confidence gets knocked out, so they stop believing in themselves. But also understanding that the parent being through the same thing, so it's repeating. So you can't go be in a situation and blame everybody or blame the parents. You've got to understand why it's happening.
A lot of it is awareness and education. A lot of the parents we work with have never had any education or never had that kind of opportunities. What they know, that's what they know. But it affects the young person. And so you have young people who you believe in, you see them and you know they have something, the spark, there's something that, especially Jannah here, we believe, like we know there's the talent there. It's how do you support them to bring that up as well, and how do you support the parent to support the young person. I think every family has a story, and I've learned that in my field of work is not to make a judgment, to try to understand it and, you know, and assess what's really going on. Because when you do that, then you can support them better. That's just the work field. But also, the people who don't get the support is pretty sad, because that can go on into your adulthood. And also, I totally agree with what you said. Sometimes it's your personality. Like, I've got a sister who's similar, like, oh my gosh, constantly, like, but then we've learned to deal with it. In the beginning, I was like, I can't deal with this, it's too much. It's always, am I doing wrong? Am I doing wrong? Have I done this? You know, question yourself, because that was an insecurity. I mean, now she's amazing and very confident, but it took her years to overcome that. So I think everybody is different. We have to understand that, and there's no right and wrong in it. It's just how do you know, with experience, and everyone I heard, and I totally agree with everyone and what they said, you know, a child should learn to be a child and enjoy life. You know, it's important to give them that opportunity to have that. But unfortunately, in a society, you have many young people who don't have that choice. They have to go and work, or they end up doing drug dealing and stuff because they know they have to support the family. They have no choice. Some make choices because that's what they do, and that's the path, but others don't have those choices.
You have quite a few strong opinions there, which I totally agree with, and it comes back to what I said before as well, about how, you know, you might want to break the pattern about abusive parents or something earlier. So do you think you need to take any certain procedures before being a parent, like maybe therapy or something? Because we all know that being a parent is a very hard job, and you want to make sure that your child grows up in the best kind of way and environment. So what do you guys' opinions about that?
We got two. Maybe you need to just recap the conversation with these two people that sit down. So I know they've come from before, but just the last few things we said. Just explain what we're talking about.
Right. Well, Lucky was talking about how, you know, kids who grow up in, you know, not too good environments, or, you know, abusive parents, and how it affects their confidence, and how also like it can lead them to bad decisions like drug dealing, and how everyone is different and each family has a story. So this. Right.
So yeah, I guess the question is, what do you do about it? There's also the question about, you know, this comes from a conversation about, are young people less confident than older people, and if so, why? Is it as Lucky says, because that they come? Is it because of trauma essentially, or is there other reasons why young people are just not confident? As Laura was saying as well, is it because they're always told not to do stuff, and that breaks their confidence? So that's the question really on the table at the moment. I guess I'm not going to answer it, but I may put it out there for other people. In a way, you've got to ask that question that everyone can get involved in now. It could be, how do we, as you said before, how do we break the cycle? It could be, how do we give young people more confidence, or why is it that is how it is? Oh look, anyway, you've got Margot asking a question.
No, I just wonder, like, when is a good time to be a parent? When would be a good time that to have children? When would you feel confident that you will instill in your children all the, I don't know, things that you hope for them? Like, does that moment come, or do we just kind of figure it out as that happens? I mean, I don't know. That's my question.
Do you have any opinions about it? No. All right. You.
I think that some people, they're just like not, if they're not ready to have a kid, and they still have one, obviously it affects the child's their upbringing and stuff, because obviously if a parent isn't ready, then they wouldn't really know how to raise a child. Or like, you know how there's some cases where people, they have an unexpected pregnancy, therefore the whole pregnancy is stressful and kind of like unwanted, so therefore the child is raised in kind of like a negative environment, because at the end of the day, yeah, they raise the child, but it's kind of like they want a wanted child, and it was done with like a lot of stress around the upbringing of it. Yeah.
Would you say like teen pregnancies or teen parents who, you know, had a child at a young age, like 16 or 17, do you think that would probably impact a child's, you know, growing up?
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would, because obviously the mother and the father, they're obviously very young, and a lot of cases with teen pregnancies is always like, not that it always happens, but sometimes the father leaves and it's just a single mother, a young mother, like a full-on teenager raising a child when they're a child themselves. So obviously raising that child is obviously such a hard thing to do, because like, you know, they're raised in such a stressful environment, and it's kind of like obviously it's like a stressful thing to do. It's not like the mother is ready for it, so it's not like something that a child should be raised in. But there are some cases where teen mothers, they're perfectly fine, like, you know, they raise their child normally and they have no issues with it. But obviously there are other cases where it's such like a big thing, and there's so many like crises happening within it and stuff like that. But
I keep forgetting you're there. Wait, sorry? You?
Smile emoji. It's the smile emoji. Yeah, I was just going to say on the note, on the one back from teenage pregnancies, is like, when are people ready to have children, and should they have therapy? And I have a friend, they're a gay couple, and they are wanting to have a family, and I think they've been like, I didn't even think about it, but they are going to go to therapy before they start to try for a baby, because so they're two women and they're going to hopefully get a sperm donor, but that's like a really difficult process for like one of you to be holding the baby and one of you possibly not to be related to it at all. So like I didn't even think about that, but I think that's, yeah, should you go into therapy before you have children? I think that's a really great suggestion.
Yeah, I definitely wish my mom had therapy before having me. So, I mean, do you think maybe a lot of cultural parents who've been grown up in strict cultural backgrounds should have that therapy?
Well, it's interesting, because I was actually, not last night, the night before, I was in the pub, and I was talking to a group of Irish travellers, and they was complaining actually that in their culture there is a lot of pressure for girls, not for men are fine, but for girls to actually get married as soon as really they're fertile, sexually active, and their normal age is like 16, 17, and they were complaining about it quite a lot because they thought it was a double standard, and it led to a lot of really inexperienced girls having children too early. So I think that in that case it was very much they were saying that it was a cultural thing that they wished would actually change within their own culture. I found that really interesting.
I mean, I definitely, as a brown person, I can agree, and I can see quite a few brown people on this table, and I mean, we all know about all this arranged marriage stuff and, you know, child marriages and all. What are you guys' thoughts on my fellow brown people here? Thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I did break the cycle. My family, I can say, all the women are very strong-minded. None of us got married early or anything. My aunt, them were in the late 30s, and even I did get married quite late. And I think because of how we are strong, we've been blessed with men who encourage that a lot. So, but I grew up, most of my friends had children when they were teenagers. I would say, very young age. So they had children. They didn't know any better. They got married. They thought that's the way it was. And some of them are doing amazing. And they're like, now, the kids look like their friends. And they're living their life and they're enjoying it. They've done really well. And some of them are really struggling because they didn't live that life. So they look back and say, I didn't do what you did. And I think there's always opinions around this. I think even for myself, I did everything and I had children late. And I did struggle as an older mom because I thought, for me, it was like a huge challenge and a big shock to my system. But I had friends who already had them and I had enough of them to give me advice and support me throughout. But I found it hard because I was an older mom. And I saw how a bit easier because of if you're young, you're more on the go. But that doesn't make it, I would say, less challenging. I think being a parent is a challenge and everybody has to find a way. And there's no right way. I don't know how to say. You have to figure it out. But when you're young, it is hard because nowadays I see children having children and they don't know how to manage it. And a lot of it is because children is for love, nothing else, to feel wanted, and they have it for the wrong reasons. And before you talk about culturally, my mom had me when she was 15, and so she didn't know, she had to learn. But I was pretty lucky because she had some understanding. She studied and educated herself a bit, but still we had a clash. We have very different opinions. Very lucky, But I think my mom had a lot of support system because she had her mom and my gran who look after me. She didn't do much. But in that, my mom mentality was like, I'm really young. I grew up struggling with that, we're not much difference in the age group, but I'm like, you're my mom, you need to behave like a mom, certain things that I had challenges with her. Now we have a more understanding, but I understand now why I'd had that clash in my relationship. I was more close to my dad than my mom. So I have friends who are like that as well, that they struggle with the mums because they were young mums. But it's interesting how the fathers been. All the fathers that I know, they're quite different. The mums struggled more than fathers, how they are with the daughters or the sons, if that makes sense.
You okay in the middle there, Jana?
Yeah, I'm good.
Just let me know you're doing a great job. Just if you're getting tired or say the word.
I'm good.
What's that?
Alright.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have to move things on anyway because it's home time for the Streets of Growth group.
Is it?
Yeah, soon. Maybe just get some final thoughts from the Streets of Growth.
Feels good. Okay.
This is on wrong. It's just sort of more got to go behind. Sorry, I'm messing your hair up now. Oh no. So yeah, let's go. Maybe try and put it under your hair, sort of, and then over the ears. There we go. There we go. That's it. Say something.
Hi.
Yeah, that's good. No, turn it up a little bit. Yeah. Go on.
Hi.
Yeah.
So as we were talking before about women and the cultural double standards for them. Have any of you guys heard of Andrew Tate, that boxer, that kickboxer? Yeah, do you guys know?
Although, Janet,
Andrew Tate?
you're supposed to bring in these things, you're supposed to maybe think about what you're going to say about Andrew Tate.
So he actually has very strong opinions about women. So do you guys agree with them, or what do you guys think about them?
One time I had this guy tell me the fact that Andrew Tate's opinions is right and that women should all stay at home and cook and clean while the men go out and make the money. And there are so many teenage boys out there that sit there and listen to Andrew Tate and think, wow, like some people support him and think his opinions are so right. And and Andrew Tate, he also brings out a lot of Islamic kind of
free sweet.
He brings out a lot of Islamic things and kind of tries to twist it and make it look right. But yeah, it's mainly, no girls agree with it, but it's most teenage boys.
What you face online, so just explain to them what's going on.
Right now we're talking about a famous kickboxer called Andrew Tate, who's also an influencer.
Yeah.
Does anybody know who Andrew Tate is?
Does anyone know?
This guy knows who.
Oh, hi. What's this guy's name?
Ian, can you hear us?
I'm going to bring up the boys and ask.
Maybe not.
Listen back online.
Okay.
It's near me.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear?
He's muted.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just keep the conversation going. Maybe we get some final thoughts from the to go to.
I'm not trying to go against my own team here, but I see a lot of Muslim boys following Andrew Tate. So I'm just saying, why would they, you know?
Who is Andrew Tate?
So he's a famous Muslim. Alright.
I think that his views are just he's trying to get clout. I just think it's an act. I just think it's an act. He's just making everything up just to get views. I just think that's how he gets his money. Yeah. I just think it's all act.
Yeah. So as a Muslim boy, I don't really support Andrew Tate. Cause
you're a good one on my team then.
I know, but I think it's not just as a Muslim boy, because he's not really Muslim either. But how do you say it? I think he's just trying to, as you said, he's a social media star, and he's just trying to get his views and try to get everybody to back him up. But most of the boys that are supporting him, they living under the mum, they're not working, they ain't got a job. So what they're going to talk about millions or a lady should stay at home, do you understand? There's a big change in that. And also, yes, he's just a social media influencer, just like a lot of the other people. They don't have to stir up trouble, create division. Yeah, 100%.
I guess, how do we all feel about social media websites platforming someone like that? And is there anything that we feel like we can do to... do you feel like there's anything we should do around voices like that? How can you combat opinions that come up like that? I obviously feel very strongly about stuff like that, but never sure what to do.
I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think TikTok is
You've got your own mic, so that's the two mics interfering. So
wait, what? Oh, this is my mic. Okay.
Yeah. Hang on. Lift up your foot.
Bloody hell. Oh shoot, sorry. This is why I'm not having kids.
I was just going to say that a lot of boys in my school, they're very sexist. They follow the ideas that Andrew Tate has. I think, and I've had boys tell me that you should be at home and you should be cooking, or you shouldn't be dressing that way, or you're not wearing your scarf that way. I've had boys say that to my face, and it's been said to other girls as well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just wonder where they learn this from, you know?
I mean, I had people say that at school to me, and I think they were just trying to get a response. It's get back in the kitchen, and it's just... I personally found not responding to that and just completely ignore it. If you're just you show them that they've touched you and that what they've said has bothered you. But if you just ignore them or that's the way to do it. They just see that doesn't get a response, they're going to stop. But if they see that it continues to rile people, I find people won't do that. I don't know. My thoughts.
I'd say Andrew Tate is very sexist. And is it toxic masculinity?
Masculinity, yeah.
Yeah. He was I remember I saw one video where he's saying that men shouldn't sip a bottle of water, that they should just down the whole bottle of water because that's what a man does. It's what world is
Actually, yeah, I saw a video of him and he said that you shouldn't vape, but he smokes, and it's kind of hypocritical of him. But he was insulting vapors in that sense, but he literally smokes. So I see what you mean.
So I've got a question. I mean, I know that you guys have to go, but like, what is it that do you think that people are attracted to when they see this this person or someone else? Like, what gets people kind of hooked on watching these things? Yeah.
You know, I'll say it's because they're famous. They got a lot of influence over a lot of people, and people look up to them. So they think I want to be like this person. So that's exactly what it is. But I think these sort of people, because of the influence they have on a lot of, like a high number of people, social media should be banning them and thinking their videos and whatnot, because they do have an impact on people, and they do create a lot of problems, a lot of division between everyone. So I 100% think, like, I don't understand why they should be going to like 1 million views in the first place if they're really sexist and whatnot. Cool, it's their opinion, but when your opinion goes out of hand and is affecting and causing a lot of division and whatnot, then I don't think it should be allowed to be going for a bit more longer and whatnot. I think, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Ian. Any views?
I've got a point to make in that don't people actually have to sign in to these people to get their views? I'm a big believer that the internet is full of rubbish, and you have to enter it knowing that what you're going to get is not exactly what you would expect or would want, but there's still the act of going into it. I mean, if people were not to subscribe to him, then he probably wouldn't have the force behind his what he says to actually maintain it. I think it needs to be shunned. I read, when I do a copy of The Sun, I read it, not because I've ever bought it, because I want to see what other people, I want to see the dark side of society, so I know what that's about. Doesn't mean to say I believe it.
I mean, I have to say, Ian, I kind of agree with you on that one. I do feel that he is reflecting what some people think, and therefore, you know, he's got a platform because people agree with him, and the only way really to challenge those views is to have it out in the open and to discuss some of the things he says. We don't have to agree with him, but you do have to take on some of those things and just go, well, you know, some people are thinking this. They are thinking that women should stay at home, and they are thinking that, you know, men are in charge. Well, I don't really know Andrew Tate, is it? I don't really know him, but I've heard a lot of other people say things like that. So it has to be a voice that's out there, and it has to be thought about and addressed, not just buried, I don't think, underground, so that we censor people like that.
Just my final thoughts. Yeah, I totally agree. I think we have to have a discussion about it. I don't agree that we should ban them from social media. So whether it's Elon Musk or Andrew Tate, Donald Trump, whoever, I think the discussions need to be had, because the more you bury it, the more people just get built up by it. So if you don't have a discussion, then people won't understand.
Sorry, you can finish it off.
Do you want me to finish it off? Okay.
You have the honours, so.
Well, we had many opinions and many, you know, I think this, I find this very powerful, and I also have spoken to Margot and Mikey about this circle discussion that we have in a different way as Streets of Growth. What it helps is helps people to listen, and it's important to listen. Because we all have, and it's important to know that everybody has different thoughts, but it's important to express these, because then we are teaching each other, because it's not about I'm being an adult and I'm not learning from you, because today I've learned so much from you,
really?
Janet. So it's like every day you're learning. So I like to say that thank you for giving us an opportunity to bring the young people in, and Janet, you're the star today. So and given the experience, when we talk about confidence, this is what we're doing, is you're building those confidence so you can be the next lead person for People Speak, right? So thank you.
Alright, I'm just gonna.
Bye bye.
You're away next week, right? come over the speaker, yeah? Maybe come over.
Sit here. Well done, Jana. Great job in the middle.
Really great. I don't think the first time in the middle you were brilliant. So more and more, and you can do our job full time.
Even at 13.
Ah, good point. Maybe we'll talk to Lady about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes,
See how many people left.
Rest of the evening. Thanks again. Take care. Thanks so much for getting involved, girls. No, it's still going, Margaret going in the middle. We've been talking about jobs and happiness. We just said that you should bring them into touch teenage pregnancies and what that does to me growing up. I'm gonna do summary. What like the impact of you growing up, like
just
and like teenage pregnancy? Are we ready for having children? Like, are we ready to have children? All right, testing. Welcome to Talkaoke. This is part 3.
Smoke a bit. Might be the final straw.
Okay.
On this.
Welcome, new face to the table. I'm just going to get myself comfortable here. It's been a little while since the last time I was in the middle of the Talkaoke table. We've got some interference going on. Thank you, Streets of Growth crowd, for coming. Thank you for participating. Thank you for making all the fantastic points on the table and in the middle of the table, of course. See you guys next week. Meanwhile, thank you so much. See you later. So this is the long tail of the Talkaoke. Is it a long tail? I don't know. It's this bit anyway. So I'm just going to start with some names. My name is Margot, but it's not about me.
Laura.
Pete.
Lucy.
Sheila.
Mikey.
Still Mikey. Okay, and this is Talkaoke. So we are here every month. Today is not the last Thursday of the month. Have you forgotten something? Your bag? Your handbag?
Lucky had it.
I'll have a look inside as well. Look inside of the studio. You got it? Okay, cool. So we are here on Aberfeldy Street for the next half hour or something thereabouts. You can get the beers out, Mikey. You can be a beer person. It is. Do you have a favourite beer?
My favourite beer, Carlsberg, I think.
Carlsberg. I mean, what is it about the flavour, the distinct flavour of Carlsberg that makes you want to come back for it?
Now that's a really difficult one. There's so many different ones now. When I was growing up, I think we had Carlin was the only lager. Now in one pub I work in, we've got 6 different ones, and that's a small pub. So, but Carlsberg I can always rely on.
All right, so Carlsberg is a reliable lager. What do people think about this? Or maybe there's too much choice. Maybe less choice is good. Maybe it's better. I mean, which lagers do you guys go for? Do you go for lagers? What do you drink? Oh, yeah.
Lager. I don't like fancy beers.
Okay.
I like lagers.
Is Carlsberg your favourite as well? What are you drinking right now? What have you drunk?
No, I think it's like I think it's a fancy one. But it is a lager, it's not like an IPA or something, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really understand.
And what do you think about this idea of having less choice? I mean, are you happy with less choice or more choice in life? It could be about beers, could be about something completely different. Laura, yes to both less and more choice?
I think we have too much choice, and that essentially is making us unhappy. Because we always think that maybe there is a better choice that we could have made.
Okay, so more options means more options to get it wrong. Do you guys feel like you've got a lot of choice in life, or not very much choice? I'm going to take it as, don't know. Right, so do you like many options? Do you like multiple choices, or just one choice is better for you? Come and say on the mic, because as you can hear, it's a bit loud here. Okay, if I had a choice of location, maybe I'd choose still Aberfeldy Street, but maybe the quiet bit. Lucy?
I get disabled by choice. I think it's too much choice, especially in London. It's like, do I do this thing If I'm like looking to go see music, do I look in Lambeth, which is where I live? Do I look in like South London? Or do I look in the whole of London? It's just too much and then I end up doing nothing.
Okay, so too much choice means that we're making no choices whatsoever. We just sit at home, look at the wall, maybe cook a bit of pasta, and that's it. But what helps us making the choices? I mean, there's nobody online, so I'm not going to go. But someone said ages ago, Ian's not here. Mikey, what about you and choices?
Well, I think just going back to the Ian point, I think he's just going underground in Surrey Quays right now. So when he gets to Whitechapel, it's going to re-emerge and get back online, I would say. Which is probably about 15, 17 minutes. I mean, in terms of choice, I mean, I think it's an interesting one because we've believed that we've got this choice. Are we really making a choice? Or is it, what is actually making a choice? Yeah, I mean, did I choose to come here to Aberfeldy Street or did Aberfeldy Street choose me?
That's a very good question. I mean, how do other people feel about it? Yeah.
I was going to say, like in the consumer market, like you feel like you have a choice, but like there might be like 10 different beers, but they're all owned by like the same company. So you're actually, in essence, buying the same company's beer.
So are we just? Is the choice actually just a fake thing? So, yeah.
I guess it's an illusion of choice.
Okay, do you have a choice or do you live in an illusion of choice is the question to this man. Maybe he's going to think about it. So what do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about, do we actually have a choice? Or maybe, Mikey, what you were saying, did Aberfeldy Street pick us? So is there something greater than us that making the choices for us? Or maybe some tips on how to make a choice that isn't debilitating?
When it comes to beers, because there are like 20 different kinds of beers or yogurts, it's a good way to think about it. Instead of going, what beer do I choose? Just go, which beer is going to choose me?
And what was the last beer that chose you?
Well, it was this Sol, but the Sol chose me because it was the cheapest one. But I think on reflection, I wouldn't choose the Sol. Because I have provided everyone with the Sol beer, but it's not the best beer, I don't think.
Is it because you're a cheapskate?
It might be because I was a cheapskate, and it seemed appealing at the time. But that's what I'm saying. The beer offer chose me rather than me choosing the beer.
Thank you, Mikey. Sheila, did you want to say something on that point? And then we'll come to you, Laura.
No, it was really interesting to listen to that, but does we get chosen?
Do you feel like you got chosen by Carling to be the ambassador of Carling?
No, I drink Carlsberg.
Carlsberg, right. Okay, Laura?
I wanted to say that I don't think that the beer chose Mikey. I think that consumptionism chose Mikey, or just the kind of the need for more and more for less at the same time, which is not necessarily equality, is it? It's really annoying in terms of choices because there is so many aspects that an aware person has to take under consideration before making a choice. Like, is it organic? Is it fair trade? Is it tasty? Is it cheap? Is it, I don't know, am I allergic to any of the ingredients? Like, there are so many things that we think about that just make us constantly think. We constantly have our brain thinking about something. That's why coming back to like being old and in pain, and how much I like yoga, because it's not only stretching to my muscles but also give my brain a rest, because I don't have to think about anything, and the less I think the better, because then the time passes faster actually. So yes.
So I'm going to abbreviate it. Oh no, is it?
No, it's just time.
Oh, it's just me. Okay, right. I thought we were running out of time. Hello to the man over there, just driving this bus 309 going to Bethnal Green. But so what is it about? Is it about the fact that maybe you just been sold, but it's not working? Is it working? Okay, it's working. I'm just gonna put it closer to my gob.
It's not loud to me, but anyway, it's not about me. So is it about just being sold to constantly? Is it about just having our brains just turning over and over and over, and the only respite we get is through yoga or death? Or not, I don't know. And what helps you make a choice? Like, how do you make your choices? Did this pastor choose you?
Oh, I had a comment about the choosing me thing, and it's completely gone. I always have an opinion, but at the moment, I actually.
But you chewing it.
I'm like absorbing food and eating is a complete state in itself. It's just like a moment that I'm in.
Okay, well, we feel very good.
Stopped.
Right, so we will let you just carry on with your food. Obviously, it is a moment that is best not to be diluted.
I mean, there's two things here. One is like the kind of all the choices that we have and this kind of choice fatigue that Laura's talking about. But also, it's all, you know, the reason why we find it so tiring is because we take it a bit too seriously, because we've been schooled. I actually did my thesis on this when I was at art school. It was about blind date and how... Hello, come down. But in that blind date kind of represented this capitalist choice that you were responsible for, but you didn't actually know what the outcome of that choice was. But somehow you had to suffer the consequences of this. Of this. This is my thesis. That blind date was a kind of capitalist cultural product par excellence, because it was about this blind choice that you had to make, and then you had to suffer the consequences even though you didn't actually have all the information to choose from. And that's basically what we have to do on a daily basis when we choose all of our products. But it's not the choosing of the product that is, I think, is onerous. It's the fact that we feel responsible for the choice we've made once we've made that choice.
Okay, so it's about blind dates. Maybe did your blind dates go badly because you used words like par excellence? Will explaining what that means, Lucy? We'll come back to. I can just fill it. I can just put in the kind of the artificial ham, kind of interim meat into this kind of moment, because obviously I don't want you to choke. But what do people think about this? They're dating. I mean, when by dating, okay, you were talking about a specific program, blind date. But have you? Number one, has anybody been on a blind date, and how did that go? And when we go and date, do we actually know what we're getting? And are we happy with that? Sheila?
I think it's changed the dating culture now.
What's the dating culture when you were dating?
Blind dates, when I was very young, but like I say, now it's swipe left, swipe right, and the scam merchants used to just meet people, didn't you? There wasn't Facebook or anything in chat. And,
Thank you.
Internet dating. I think internet dating's horrible. Like it's like very shallow. But I'd rather meet someone like in real life and talk to someone than swipe and choose someone.
Right, we're talking about internet dating. Is a yes for internet dating? Not so much. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Internet yeah, okay, it's a good. Give it a ding, ding, ding. Okay, Lucy.
Okay, I'm ready. So my question was on the blind date. Why would people feel overwhelmed by choice if they've chosen the wrong thing? The show with the 3 people. Oh, not just like getting a blind date. Oh, fine, the show. Oh, fine. Okay. I thought you just meant like a blind date.
Up to this?
No, I just wanted to. I wasn't sure. But then in responding, because it was about who we date, etc. And I think first dates, blind dates are really fun because you can just. Obviously, I have spoken to strangers for a living, so I find it quite fun to sit in front of people and just narrate in my head and be like, I would not have said that. That's uncomfortable, and move on. So I quite like that. I think internet dating also has been the only thing we've had for 2 years. How else are you supposed to meet someone? But yeah, you just have to. When I was doing internet dating, I think I had like 8 dates in 1 week. You've just got to treat it like a job. You just got to keep going because you don't know if someone's thing on the internet is not who they are. You've got to just like. Cut the chat. Let's meet. No, that didn't work. See you later.
So you kind of have to treat the internet dating or dating as a kind of like a task. You just have to go through a few, like job application. I'm just going to say because that's the only thing I can compare it to. What was your experience of internet dating? Is it thumbs up, thumbs down? Mixed reviews.
Mixed reviews. I am a big fan. But not in a sense of a romantic relationship because I think it's
I am very surprised whenever I hear that someone actually found a decent person to date for longer, but I really liked it because it gave me a lot of confidence and I could kind of try out different approaches and I don't know, see how I feel about certain things. So really it was kind of, I took it as a learning experience.
Kind of character building?
Yeah,
maybe,
character building, networking, social skills, things like this. Because I was very introverted and very shy towards any strangers. And when I got into online dating, it was because I didn't want to date anyone in my surrounding, and the good thing about online dating was if I didn't like it, I lived in London, I never met them again, so it was great. Yeah.
Okay, so internet dating, yay, nay, middle of the road. Would you go internet dating? Yeah, no. Just give me a thumbs up. Internet dating, good thing, not so good. Internet dating. No, okay, so thumbs down. Okay, well, Laura used it to build her character, to learn about things that she likes, doesn't like, and you can always cheat on location, or you can just never meet them again.
Well, my question was, because you said that you don't know how people met anyone meaningful, but how many meaningful people are in your lives and on dating apps?
Okay, question, was that directed specifically to Laura, or?
Microphone.
Double mic.
All right, everyone just cool it. I'll try. Sorry, we've not had a complaint from the other side of Aberfeldy Street for months, so maybe we should keep it that way. Okay, sorry. So then I don't know what the question was, Lucy.
It was just that you said you were surprised that people would, and I agree with you. It's hard to find the right. I'd say it's the mechanism of the matching, but you were like, oh, I don't know how people would find meaningful, nice. I'm not sure what your wording was. People on dating apps. So I would say, how many of your friends who are meaningful, lovely people are on dating apps?
Okay, so do you know any meaningful people on dating apps right now, or it's just a challenge?
I do know few people that are my friends.
But they're all dicks.
They are on an online dating apps for different reasons, and I don't know. It's interesting because there is this thing. My friend, she's currently doing the online dating and she's loving it, but also it's. We talked about it that maybe because she's completely new, the algorithm gives her fun people, so she's enjoying it. But if I guess like from people who do it for ages, they would be like, oh, it's so boring. They're the same people. Like there's no one interesting there. And I got to the point when I was like, I've seen it all. There's no one interesting there. So it's maybe it's beginner's luck, or maybe it's the algorithm that's getting better.
Okay, and what constitutes an interesting person? I mean, how do we know? That's number one. Secondly, I'm going to come to you, Mikey, shortly. But I just wanted to link two things because we started off by talking about beers. What kind of beer would you have on a blind date, on an internet date? Yeah. Internet dating. How do you feel about internet dating? Internet dating, yes, no, for you?
No response.
No response. Okay, that's deep. Thank you.